we saw just yesterday when we were really playing with that 57.8 level, and really bounced off that level pretty much beginning of the day and straight up from there. And now you've got BTC sitting at the next level. So we'll see how the day moves today. If it's possible to get this sucker to actually stay up above 60,700. We shall see. I always like using it as a bit of a leading indicator, but I will say it feels as though the Bitcoin leading indicator has been somewhat broken, mostly due to probably some distortions in government selling BTC, whether it's the Germany situation, or even to some extent the Biden admin, or maybe even the Mt. Gox. Who knows? But clearly there's been a little bit of pressure, so to speak. But anyway, we've got we're sitting at another technical level here, and markets coming up on probably one of the. I mean, if we're green today, I think we might be at one of the longest stretches of green in the stock market, if we end up green today, that we've seen since 2004, which would be quite remarkable. So one heck of a reversal from the red that we saw starting back in on July 11th. Now, one thing that's fascinating is that we noticed, and we talked about it on the channel. We noticed that there was a jump in the SOFR rate, the standard overnight funding rate, and I remember in early July. It was either early July or late June, but anyway, it was about 2 weeks before the chaos really started breaking out. You got a little bit of a heads up that there was some liquidity stress when the overnight funding rate peaked up. And I remember a lot of folks were like, that was weird. Okay, well, we weren't expecting that to happen. And it only lasted for about a day, so it didn't end up being something that was so dramatic. But some people say that potentially foreshadowed the craziness that ended up coming with the Japan carry trade unwinding, and whether this carry trade is over now. Some folks say it's just getting started. Other folks say it's mostly unwound. Who knows? As is common in what's it called? In financial markets, it's always a situation where it's not one failure that happens, but it's multiple that happen at the same time. They sort of build up and compound together. So, but anyway, things mostly seem optimistic. We've got the revisions for the Bureau of Labor Statistics expected to come out with as much of a revision of as high of 1 million jobs to be removed from markets via the Bureau of Labor Statistics benchmark revisions. That comes out tomorrow. So today we only get mortgage applications. No, wait. Actually, no. Today we don't even get that. Today we get Philadelphia Fed non-manufacturing activity. Tomorrow we get mortgage applications, the FOMC meeting notes, and the BLS preliminary benchmark revisions. So they are just the prelims. So we'll still have another update coming for those. But we do also expect Lowe's. Actually, they may have just reported. Let me see. Lowe's should be reporting this morning, along with Xpeng today. And then after hours, we expect Toll Brothers. So let's see if Lowe's gave us any color here. Okay, Lowe's. EPS year over year, 417 versus 456. CapEx $2 billion meets expectations. Adjusted EPS for Q2 beats 410 versus 397. Sees comp sales growth worse than expected at negative 3.75% versus the negative 2.75% they're expecting. Guidance on soft do-it-yourself spending, housing market, and Lowe's cuts view as discretionary do-it-yourself weakness persists. So not a terrible surprise. To see some weakness there at lows. This is one of the things you can kind of more easily blow off, if you will. But take a look at how the Lowe's sector. Let's see. Oh, Lowe's is basically flat. Yeah, look at that. I mean, you basically don't have any activity there. So we shall see. But yeah, take a look at this. You've got let's see here, Zoom. They were up 3% yesterday. AMD up 169 yesterday. Tesla. Look at that move here in the pre-market. Nice little pop up on Tesla. You're up 3% yesterday. Up almost another whole 2% in the pre-market. Seems like that sort of aggressive legging higher of markets is continuing. Let's write down lows here. Okay, here we go. Today's already the 20th. Wow. Let's see here. Let's write down time. Okay, so lows, comp sales, 3.75% for fiscal year. Oh, that's negative, mind you. Versus negative 2.5% expected. And part of that was due to soft do-it-yourself spending, pressured macro, and let's see here, lower comp sales in Q2 as well. Yeah. And that was, it's worth looking at that percentage. That was negative 5.1% versus 4.43% expected. Okay. Well, it's not hugely, different. Okay. Let's see here. Next. Okay, dokie. Okay, dokie. Let's see here. What else? Ooh, Alaska Air says Hawaiian Air deal clears DOJ hurdle. Remains subject to Department of Transportation approval. Hawaiian Holdings jumps as much as 10% as DOJ ends antitrust review. Ooh. Take a look at that. Hawaiian? Oh yeah, look at that. 11% move there. Let's zoom out for a moment. Oh, yeah, so you're going to gap up to about, 17, 18 almost. Little gap up. Wow, you went all the way down to $3 there for a minute. Okay, how's DJT doing? Let's see here. DJT was down 3.5 yesterday, up about 13% in pre-market here. We saw Tesla. We've got SPYs up by about 1% in pre-market. We'll see if that holds on. BTC right at the line. Qs up also 0.1%, 1 basis point. Not 1%. ASTS, Space Mobile, still continues its little skyrocket here. By little skyrocket, I mean just a double in like the last week and a half. Pretty remarkable. This is now a $10.4 billion company, and boy, it is become a momentum driver on social. Just be careful. At some point, momentum does U-turn. These tend to bleed. Affirm 73 basis points in the pre-market, up 6% yesterday. Wow. Ubiquity was up 79 basis points yesterday. Enphase, 0.24. Somebody's asking here about Tesla stock. Oh, Tesla. Love to have Tesla when the time is right. Nvidia is it's a great company and great people. 25 to the downside, 31 basis points to the downside. We saw this yesterday as well. Pre-market was slightly red in Nvidia, and then look at it, ended up 4% on the day. It's crazy. So let's see here. What else we got? Starbucks, QQQM, ARM, Hood, Apps. Oh, Apps was even up 4% yesterday. Wow, look at that. That's remarkable. This is another one that was just sort of rocketing. Yeah, it's been almost daily that this one's been rocketing. Jeez. Just over the last 12 days, it's up from $1.75 to $4.80. And what else? What else? What else? What else? Let's see here. Google, CrowdStrike, Trimble, Hyatt. Okay. That gives us a nice little preview of what's going on in the day here. Portillos and Honest. Yeah, Honest also off that $3 low up to about $4.25 now. All right, very well. So let's see what is the news today. Oh, did a Tesla semi catch fire? Is that true? Tesla semi truck. Let's see here. Tesla semi truck prompts I-80 closure in California. Let's see what this is. Oh, it is yesterday. Yesterday at 7:59 p.m. A Tesla big rig that caught fire kept both directions of California's Interstate 80 closed in the Sierra Nevada. Fire crews responded to a semi-truck fire around 3 a.m. Wow. Dealing with a hazardous material situation, toxic fumes from the big rig's batteries. First responders say batteries of the big rig were still burning hours later. Well, that's not great. People were being kept at least half a mile away from the scene. The battery itself, you can't just spray water and put out. It takes some sort of dry chemical or a very huge amount of water. Heard as much as 40,000 gallons. Well, that's like a pool. Unknown what the semi was hauling. I wonder if there are more pictures of that. Interesting. Let me go. Tesla semi. There's a video. Oh, it's just sort of a reporter on the scene. And it kind of just gives you an aerial. Okay, well, I'll put it up. There you go. Not much to see there. It looks like... I'm surprised it didn't start like a forest fire. Jeez. So, I mean, it's literally in a forest. Yikes. Remember, only you can stop forest fires. And Elon. Yikes. Alright. There's no good pictures of it? No, not really. Yeah, it's just, oh, there's a side picture of it. Oh, from X here. Yeah, interesting. All right, listen in over here for a moment. What are they saying about the consumer?
Executives expect to incorporate AI into the retail operations in the next 2 years.
Wow. That'll be interesting to watch, too. Michael, thank you.
My pleasure.
Michael Zacher. Also, a programming note on the retail front. Don't miss Target CEO Brian Cornell. He's going to be joining us tomorrow morning following second quarter results that they release as well.
Coming up next, an interview on Kamala Harris's economic plans with House Minority Leader Hakeem Jeffries, live from the Democratic National Convention in Chicago. Stay tuned. You're watching Squawk Box on CNBC.
I think it's funny, it's obviously not like a great thing for Tesla, but the semi-truck fire, but the stock moved like zero. So it's interesting. Okay, what do we got? We've got Bond market, 10 years down, half of 1 basis point. The 2 years down, 2.6. The yield curve between the two is still a mess. It's about 18.2 right now. And usually it's the uninverting of the yield curve that's the crappy moment. So, still 18 bits away from that right now. Palo Alto Networks as well. Let's look at them. I think they reported yesterday. Pandub. Let's see how they're doing. Oh, you're gonna spam raise the mic volume? Okay. Saw you, Ren. You said it the first time. Let's see what we got here. We can do that. I could also just yell. There. I did it for you. Alright. So, here's PanW up about 2.2%. And if you go to... Oh, that's sorry, I can hear you. That's funny. Alright, let's go to PanDubs. PanW. Alright, let's see here. They are up 2.2% in the Prima. Q4 revenue, slight beat. Palo Alto Networks. Q4 rev 2.2 billion versus 2.16 billion expected. Then we have, let's see here. Forecast roughly in line. Q1 rev forecast 2.15 billion. Yeah. Versus 2.11 bill expected. So a little bit better than expected. EPS roughly, actually a little higher than expected for fiscal year. And then they got a bunch of price target increases. Everybody raised them. D.A. Davidson, Deutsche Bank, Needham, Wedbush, BMO, and Truist. It's literally 6 price target upgrades after earnings. Okie dokie then. Alright. Then I think we've got... I think Max mentioned Canadian CPI came in. Let's see. Canada. Somewhere you gotta sing the song like blame Canada. No, we love Canada. Alright, year over year comes in at 2.5 match. CPI non-seasonally adjusted month over month matches 0.4. Core year over year median comes in 0.1 lower at 2.4. And trim year over year core comes in at 2.6. Also 0.1 lower than expected. So the year-over-year numbers came in smidgen lower. All right. Good job, Canada. All right. Let's listen to Hakeem for a second.
The private sector is an easy target for populism, and maybe the party goes too far.
Oh, Steve.
Our view is that we want a properly regulated, market-based economy that is good for the American people, good for commerce, good for industry, and good for business and job creation. That is also, of course, anchored in a strong social safety net connected to things like Social Security and Medicare. We just want to, under the leadership of Kamala Harris, lower costs, grow the middle class, and build an economy that works for hard-working American taxpayers. That's the plan, that's the vision. And Joe,
someone in the chat here is wondering if they should get their own real estate license. If you're just trying to buy one rental property, I mean, I'm a big fan of getting licenses and things that have the potential of making you money in the future. You try to get your license just to save yourself some money on getting your first deal. Probably end up losing more money than you would have saved in it. I don't think it's worth it. I mean, I just look at even what we do with house hacking. I look at it as we're a licensed real estate broker, and we rarely use our own license. So we want to work with agents, and it's nice to have MLS access, but and we'll gladly write. We got our own. I think in 2020, what's this year? In 2024, House Hack will have earned like $200K in commish, but that was all from like one, maybe like two deals. But so the vast majority of them are written through other agents, which we actually encourage. That's kind of like having free deal finders out there. And technically, it's not really free, but non-payrolled. So, anyway, okay.
Investment and Jobs Act that is investing in our crumbling infrastructure and creating millions of good-paying jobs. We passed the CHIPS and Science Act, which is bringing domestic manufacturing jobs back home to the United States of America, anchored in a public-private partnership around the semiconductor industry. And then, of course, we passed the Inflation Reduction Act, which is striking a dramatic blow against the climate crisis, setting our planet on a sustainable trajectory forward, and building a clean energy economy through the use of the tax code to once again incentivize public-private partnerships. And we're seeing a clean energy economy develop all across the nation. That's our track record.
Right, but Leader Jeffries, the stir of the drink, what makes it all happen is the private sector, and whether it's a partnership or whether it's government in some way assisting the private sector to succeed on a global playing field. That's really the role of government. Maybe sometimes I think that might be less. Let me ask you about just price controls, and you
show that new coffee mug. It's the RuneScape mug.
In the past, that has not been the most effective way to do things, and to blame a lot of the current inflation on corporate greed. For 40 years, inflation didn't reach the levels that we saw from a couple of years ago. So it's just hard for people to understand how the price gouging, corporations were unable to do it for 40 years, and then suddenly they started doing it a couple of years ago, right when President Biden took office, and that is largely responsible for the inflation that we saw. Why suddenly were corporations able to do that, Leader Jeffrey? Why hadn't they done it all along if they were greedy and profit mongers and everything else?
First of all, I haven't heard Vice President Harris talk about price controls. She's talked about making sure that there's no price gouging that takes place so that we have a properly functioning.
Yeah, I mean, the reason people talked about price controls is because Kamala Harris talked about, limiting prices at grocery stores, which then made everybody freak out about, oh my gosh, it's like the late 60s, early 70s price controls, which were actually really inflationary and bad, and created substantial shortages. They were inflationary after the fact. Yeah, I think she's quickly backing off of that one. She's gotten a lot of backlash on that. And I don't even know if that was her intention. I don't even know if she knows if that was her intention. It's just what the teleprompter said.
Can afford groceries because there are millions of Americans who are struggling to live paycheck to paycheck. That should not be the case in America, the richest country in the history of the world. And we're going to try to lower costs, grow the middle class, and make sure that there's an economy that works for hard-working American taxpayers. That's not too controversial in the communities that I spend time in all across the nation.
You would attribute.
Yeah, I CR. From what I heard, I didn't immediately think price controls either. I do think everybody who doesn't really like Kamala heard that, but I didn't really hear that. It was somewhat implied though. I saw it was somewhat implied, but it wasn't like that blunt. Yeah, it was. That's also just been clarified about the desire to disincentivize price gouging, which, yes, she mispronounced. Everybody reminds of that in the chat every time it's said. But anyway, that happens. Okay. So, what else? What else? Tomorrow we get the BLS revisions. August price action has been historic. What seemed like a relatively slow day moved into a rally in FOMO-like quality yesterday. Yeah. Let's see here. Okay. Boarding. Let's listen in again here just briefly. Then we'll go to Bloomberg.
These three catastrophes, I think that President Biden and Kamala Harris have done a very good job navigating America through a very turbulent point. On the economic catastrophe, on the economic catastrophe, which I presume you're getting ready to ask about, clearly you had the economy shut down. And so
Aubrey says, how do you stop price gouging without controlling price? Well, I mean, the same way that you control price gouging when there's like a hurricane, right? So what used to happen, I remember this as a kid, is a hurricane would come to Florida and they'd be selling a 24-pack of water for like $2, and then a hurricane's coming and then they jack the price up to $8. And the theory is, maximize the price the consumer is willing to pay, which is a reasonable market dynamic, but it is a form of price gouging because now you're charging 4x for a basic necessity, and you're only doing it because there's an emergent situation coming. And so that's called, disaster related price gouging, and that's illegal. So you're already not allowed to do that. So I think the price gouging that Kamala Harris is trying to refer to is, if corporate company or if corporations are raising prices well above the percent of inflation for no reason other than profit, then they're price gouging. But I also don't know that has actually occurred. I think a lot of companies raise prices because their costs skyrocketed, and they tried to pass those costs on to consumers, and now consumers are saying no by voting with their money. As the invisible hand is at work, the voters or the consumers are saying no, I'm not going to pay these prices, and so they pull back on buying Celsius drinks or Monster Energy drinks, or they go to McDonald's less, they go to restaurants less, and then all of a sudden corporations are like, oh my gosh, I guess we're going to have to reduce prices to try to encourage people to come back. So they come back with new value meals or whatever. And, that's the free market at play. So I don't know that there is a real example of price gouging. Some people are like, oh, but Kevin, what about autos? Because cars were being sold for over MSRP for a while. And the reality is that there were serious supply shortages, which you could argue the same thing is actually true in a disaster. It just feels a little less unfair because a car is sort of a, more of a discretionary purchase. You don't necessarily need a new car when you buy a new car. Most people at least don't. I would guess less than 5% of people actually need a new vehicle when they go buy a new car. Whereas everybody needs water during a disaster. So, but yeah, the market is designed to handle price setting and price discovery, and it works really well. And so I'm personally absolutely not a fan of any kind of price controls or price regulation. I don't think she desired to imply price controls, even though she kind of did imply it. I think it was more political rhetoric to say, you know, we're not going to let companies price gouge you. But let's be real, it's not going to be an issue anyway, because you're going to probably be fighting deflation and a recession next year. Maybe even at the end of this year. So you're not going to have to worry about price gouging. You're going to have to worry about why prices are so low and why you don't have any money to spend on it. So, have to worry about jobs. All that good stuff. So, anyway, let's see here. Let's see, what else? I knew of a supplier that captured the Australian market for crop. He was in the right location for crop, made a killing. Oh yeah, I bet. Fairly reasonable investor says, but my rent is too low. Well, that's good for you. Trump got all these rednecks excited and dreaming. Okay. Have we already seen enough Democratic policies where they only think about what meets the eye? Well, I mean, I think political rhetoric on both sides is always designed to try to sound good, and its practicality is very different. Consumer versus corporation has always been a battle. We don't need the government to step in. The government screws everything up it touches. Yeah, to a lot of a degree. I do think there's some use for government. She's such an idiot. Can't get the words out of her mouth right. You don't really like her, do you? Tell me how you really feel. If you let price discovery happen in the food sector, people who are poor get destroyed during the transition time. Right. This is where you can make the argument, though, that that's not the way to regulate food prices. I mean, food prices are already heavily manipulated. I mean, do you think you can actually get a gallon of milk for like $3? I mean, it's so heavily subsidized without the government. A gallon of milk would probably cost you like $9. So you already have massive food subsidies that go into food. But some people would say, well, you know, the first step is better education and providing a stronger economy that can provide better jobs. But, you know, that takes decades to engineer. And then, of course, the second thing that we do is we have social safety nets. So once your income falls below a certain line, or a certain percentage of that line, you become eligible for food assistance, basically, like SNAP. So, you know, it's not a perfect way of dealing with it, but it's better than setting price controls, because really what you're doing with like food stamps basically is you're telling the market, go ahead and set the prices for your food, ignore for a moment all the subsidies that we've already given the food industry, and now what we're going to do is we're going to make sure everybody pays, you know, the normal price that the market is setting for bananas or bread or eggs or whatever, but the few who really can't afford it, we'll give them a little bit of a boost via the social safety net. You know, so that's the economic concept of you know, how to maybe more basically try to hone in on who really needs the help. Remember, the goal of a company is to charge the highest amount they can to each customer based on their willingness to pay. That's what everything comes down to, is a consumer's willingness to pay. And the goal should be that everybody pays the highest. That's the goal of the company, obviously. And the goal of the consumer is that everybody pays the lowest. So, and that's what creates a market. So, big pharma companies price gouge every day. Yeah, I mean, a lot of that probably also has to do with just how messed up the insurance industry is. But Dad just had COVID, and the medicine they prescribed him cost $1,700 for 5 days. Yeah, probably the insurance company paid like $300, you know, some negotiated rate. She's actually had a good study on UBI about how UBI ended up making people's happiness change zero, and they just ended up working less, and their productivity went down, which, I mean, isn't really a surprise. Let's see here. Food industry. That's why $5. It costs over $5 for private label milk. That's only 26 ounces. Yeah, that's like 20 bucks a gallon right there. Yeah, makes sense. Food industry is so complex. Just take a look at avocados. Avocados from Mexico. And don't forget to demonize the farmers. Who demonizes the farmers? Farming, I think that's a tough job. I would invest every penny of UBI. Give me free money. Yeah. Corporate control by government will only hurt the consumer, says Jason Van Mill. That sounds like an economist name. Who are you? Who are you? Jason Van Mill. Austrian economist. Yeah. Alright. What else? So, 8th straight day of the rally. Let's see what the sizzle has.
September's historically a weak month. We've got there is a convention on, and in the convention they're all calling for higher taxes, which is not good for the stocks. Stocks are oblivious. We came through earnings season, and it turned out to be pretty darn good. We are now almost done. We have Target tomorrow, and then I just don't really care after Target. I mean, now it's just catch as catch can. And the judgment is that it was pretty good. If you go back to when things started, there was a Daiwa note that downgraded J.P. Morgan today. And I would have said heresy, just heresy. But I do feel that people are getting a little too comfortable.
Interesting. So you would be cautious here?
Yes, I don't buy when the thing that I look at since 1987 is very rarely led me away and astray. There used to be an S&P, it was a Standard & Poor's, now it's Market Edge, and it's a measure of over-enthusiasm. And when you get to +5, and this is now +7, people are over-exuberant, to use a term that Alan Greenspan really kind of coined. And so I'm not a buyer, I'm a seller.
Do you think that if we were to revisit all-time highs, we would be looking at a so-called double top?
Oh, wow. No, I just think that we have to have a recharge. We've had a lot of move. We have to have a sell-off. And then I think we can go ahead maybe mid-October or so. You have to deal with this. I've been working with Larry Williams, who's an amazing market historian, and he's saying, listen, don't get too excited. He used the term kaput, that the rally today is kaput. And I'm like, kaput? I mean, that's not toning down. That's not like lose taper. Kaput's different from tapering. Now, Larry sometimes is a little, he can be hyperbolic, but I do say that we have a quarter next week that is way too big, looming, NVIDIA. And there's too many people in NVIDIA right now. Like, I went to I had our great charity event. Thank you for Sag Harbor Cinema.
Yes.
And thank you for inviting me and the table. And there are people there who just said, look, NVIDIA has made my life. Well, no, it hasn't unless you sell some. NVIDIA's not made your life yet. And then we had a guy last night, a caller, who just said, look, after NVIDIA, I was going to name my dog Chewy. And I said, what are you, like, I'm shorting your dog, I mean, what are you doing with it? But like, Chewy, okay, farmer's dog. So I just think there's just too much on the line. Look, that's not negative. It just says, look, there's too much on the line.
Yeah. Take a look at it. You mentioned the semis here. For the group, 22% in 10 days.
But that's just unbelievable.
It's going to be the best.
I remember, like, in 1984, there was this rally in Texas Instruments, and there used to be this machine it was in Grand Central Station.
Okay, so it looks like Kramer. I just tweeted this. Holy SH9T. Jim Cramer just said he's not a buyer, he's a seller. Quotes Alan Greenspan's irrational exuberance, and then even mentions NVIDIA by name. There's too many people in NVIDIA right now. And then I write, we're about to rocket ship.
We followed that playbook. Proceeds go where?
2 year.
Really?
2 years really great. 2 year 4.02.
So, as somebody said on our show yesterday, the bonds are doing their job.
Yes, they are.
In terms of making up that part of your portfolio.
Absolutely are. And I think that well, we're not allowed to own stocks, but I love the 2-year because 4% is really fabulous, and I recognize that it's going to go away if I'm in a money fund. Most people are in money funds, and what happens is they go down, down, down when the Fed cuts. The 2-year does not go down, down, down. So it's a very good piece of paper. It's boring as all get out. Like when people ask, "What are you doing?" So I like the 2-year. Like the 2-year. Well, no, I don't. Don't you like KLA? Don't you like how about the Lam Research? It was the Lam. No, I like the ASM. No, the 2-year. So I mean, the tug of war is that people are really in now.
Yeah,
everybody's in.
Are you one of those, and we've heard this a couple times this week, that are people who are worried about, say, a 10-year that goes too low, that gets too near a 3% level?
No, I think that the bonds are doing their job. But I think the worry is just I just feel like I don't want to buy stocks over and over again on the same thing. Now, earnings season is done. To come in every day and buy Spotify on top of Spotify on top of Spotify, and Spotify's, I just picked that because it's a great stock. It's been really a roar. I don't have something new that will make me take it up, so I'm just now playing multiple expansion. And NVIDIA's got too much water to carry. I think it's going to be fantastic, and then I think that the guide may not be satisfactory. Because I don't know what you have to do to just, this is a huge rally. And remember, talk about double top. I mean, this would be the one because that last top was so ugly. I mean, it was just up huge and then boom down, which is textbook. So my feeling about NVIDIA. I want to own it. I want to trade it. But I do recommend that people look at what it's done. I mean, look at the August low. Look at now. What a comeback. Boom. What a comeback.
It is incredible. And as for your point about earnings, we are about 95% done with the quarter.
Yes.
Goldman had some takeaways. One is that the election might be suppressing some CapEx plans.
Right.
Revenue growth stabilizing at healthy levels.
Yes.
The consumer health pretty much ratified, despite some of the comments out of consumer packaged goods.
Well, I do feel that what I don't want to get. There's a couple good notes today. One of the things I love is what charts I'm looking at that Katie Huberty puts out, and she's so great at Morgan Stanley. And she said here, a 60% growth in VC-backed company bankruptcies, that their shutdown rates is 3 to 4 times higher than 12 to 18 months ago. This is what's going on underneath. So there is rot underneath unless it's e-com. And even then we have too many e-coms. But brick and mortar's not holding up here. It's not, other than in Abercrombie, which has 8% short position.
Yeah, although Citi today, positive catalyst watch on ANF.
I know, and I think that makes a great deal of sense. They haven't missed. They've been terrific. I'm looking at Gap Stores. I think Gap Stores is very good. Matthew Boss does this piece today from JP Morgan. He says that coming out of the quarter was weak. July was weak, and I don't want to see that because, holy cow, we're in a position where you can't have you can only have so many Marv Ellisons and Lowe's before you say, wait a second, the Fed better cut. Maybe we're over the cusp.
Yeah, look at Abercrombie, by the way. This stock is crazy. It literally, in 2023, was at like $26. And it's now $168. Holy smokes.
As he wasn't over the top, but he was very confident.
Take a listen.
On AI, we're very excited. We crossed $200 million in ARR in AI, real AI, selling products to our customers. This is not ideas, thoughts, things we're trying. We actually sold $200 million worth of ARR into our customer base across all the stuff we do in AI.
Well, that's contrary to what you were talking about earlier about cap spending. That's pretty interesting. He did this thing called platformization, which is offer one. By the way, this is what Salesforce does too. Offer one product, one unified product. People felt it was an excuse because he was losing to CrowdStrike. CrowdStrike now has its own set of problems. There was no grave dancing. Because, first of all, it's not in a grave. I'm the believer in George Kurtz. I said at 2:30 you want to buy his stock. But it's really, I was very surprised at how bullish Nikesh was and how wrong the analysts were. You'll see, about 10 price target raises?
Yep.
I like the quarter. I do think that this is his time. A lot of money is being spent on this because the bad guys just are ceaseless. They just won't stop.
Morgan Stanley reiterates overweight. Dan Ives at Wedbush goes to 400. They do add some to the buyback.
500 million buyback, and then One of the things I like about Nikesh is he doesn't suffer fools gladly. I said, how about the 500 million buyback? He goes, you mean on top of the current buyback?
Yes.
And I'm like, yeah, of course. You know, I mean, I've been look. He on the conference call, he'll say things like, "Oh, I'm so glad you're listening," or "Yeah, no kidding." So you don't want to be cross with him. The first caller says something. He goes,
It's interesting. You're getting a little bit of a move down in markets right now. So BTC is losing its 67. That's 607. And the Qs a little bit are dropping into the pre-market here. Palantir, which is at 3250, it's a pretty nice number there. Negative. ASTS, I haven't seen them go negative in a very long period of time here. Tesla's dropping a little bit, but holding on to 1%, at least at the moment. Palo Alto Network after earnings is up about 2.2. Let's see here. Well, let's just go ahead and sort by after hours movers. Lone Depot is the next one by Palo Alto to the upside. And Tesla holding on to, again, about 90 to 100 bips. Downside, you've got Baba down about 174. Lowe's only down about 1. Dell, Nvidia, Supermicro, Enphase, some of these down a little bit here. So, all right. Let's go, let's try the Doomers. 8-day rally has to end at some point. Yeah, that is true. It's true.
Technology is a favorite of ours in the growth strategy. So we do believe that this world, unfortunately, is not going to become safer anytime soon. And so we do think that these defense companies that have leading edge technology are likely to remain a solid part of a portfolio for many years to come.
All right, Joanne, have to leave it there. Always great to spend some time with you. Our thanks, of course, to Joanne Feeney of Advisors Capital. Meanwhile, let's take a check on futures right now because the S&P 500 dipping into the red pre-market, as you can see, currently down about 0.1%. Even more so if you take a look at the NASDAQ 100. The Russell 2000 just about flat. I will say we're coming off of 8 straight days of gains, like we've said, longest streak since November 2023. So some of that enthusiasm drying up a little bit here. Let's look under the hood, though. We're going to do that with Abigail Doolittle.
And one stock, Katie, trying to fight that small decline for the S&P 500. The shares of Tesla right now up about 1% off of their pre-market highs. But this gain coming on the news that the EU is proposing a 9% tariff on EVs, Tesla EVs produced in China, which is significantly lower than the tariffs proposed for some of the Chinese-based EV makers. In addition, this is just about 20% of their overall production in the world. So investors cheering this news as a positive. Take a look at the shares of Palo Alto Network, which you all were just talking about. The stock is up nicely, up about 2.4% now, up more than 20% off the recent lows. And of course, they beat, they boosted, the billings were better. They also boosted the buyback. And Morgan
Yeah,
Stanley
I'm working on perfecting the audio levels. I kind of rebuilt the studio a little bit, mostly to get the other mic in, but I've also made it a lot more ergonomic. I don't have to reach as much anymore, and added some other cool little features in here and switchboards, which is kind of cool. But yeah, I think the one that I'm really still working on is here. See, I zoomed out a little bit, and I think you see still too much of this gold bar over here, and I think the volume's still a little too low on this one. Let's see, the delay is fixed. I also had the delay issue yesterday. There we go, audio should be a little better there now. But I'm really trying to get it to where I could switch between the two and it automatically switches the mics, which that's being done, but you know, maybe more of a positioning like that or something like that. I don't know, I haven't quite figured it out yet. The whole boom arm thing and podcasty mic or whatever, but I think at least some of the delay problem's been solved, so we'll see. We shall see, eh? So yeah, I switch over here and already go back to the other microphone. So I get both, mostly because y'all were kind of voting on a very 50-50 path there. So, yeah. And I also moved my soundboard a lot closer. So, yeah. Anyway. Yeah, there we go. It's actually a little low.
Bye, bye, bye! Data dependent.
There we go. That's a little better. So, okay. Oh, is your soundboard wireless? It constantly says lost the lead. That's a good one. That's funny. All right. So what else here? $5. Have you seen the volume for TLT? It's been absolutely monstrous the past couple weeks. Highest it's ever been. Let's go find out. TLT is the 20-year bond ETF. You don't actually have to use an ETF to buy this. Yeah, certainly a large boost in volume there. You don't actually have to use an ETF. You could just go buy the treasury bonds at treasurydirect.gov. Not saying that's like advice or that you should, but you can. Yeah, it's sort of an inspiration of maybe yields being at peak and basically bond prices being at bottom. Jim Cramer was like, oh, I like the 2-year treasury here. I'm sure the 2-year will move rapidly with rate cuts, but I actually prefer the 20 or 30 year right now. That's just my preference. And my opinion with that is basically recession protection. Yeah, and I don't think we'll have a second wave of inflation like a lot of people fear. So, I'm putting my dollar hollers where my moutha is. So, what about putting the mic over your head? Well, that's where the shotgun is right now. Alrighty, I got one there, and I got this one over here. But yeah. I mean, I could put this one over as well, but I don't know. Then I have to rotate it upside down. I mean, it could work. I have to turn that upside down. Probably screw everything up trying to do it. I mean, I suppose I could do it. Let's just see if I can. These springy things are always pretty funny though, because it's gonna screw stuff up doing it. But I will try, good sir. I will take the suggestion. Yeah, this is definitely gonna screw things up right now. How do I even do that upside down without it I guess that works. Alright. Okay. Let's see. Can't see it right now. Now I gotta rotate it down a bit. Maybe. Kind of like a radio station now. Ooh. Look at that. The problem now, it's kind of right where my eye level is. It's not bad, actually. I just have to find out where I want to put it. Maybe if I put it right here. That's interesting. I don't know. How does that sound or look? That's the overhead. You kind of move it a little bit. Look at that. I was able to move it without screwing it up too badly. All right.
The basics, making sure they have the right brands, the right install.
Oh, people actually like that. Oh my gosh. Okay, well, credit to the over-the-head guy. That's great. Way better. Really good. Is it a German mic? Yeah. Both microphones are German. This is the Sennheiser. This is the Neumann. Camera keeps focusing on it. Sounds better. Looks a little good. I mean, I just have to move it. Somebody's like, wow, we can actually hear you. What do you mean? You couldn't hear me before? So I just have to, I think if I get the angle of the boom, maybe I put it over there, and then I come in from this side a little bit. Yeah, that could work. Yes. Yeah, I'll just talk like this. How does this sound? Is this good? All right. We're just messing around too much now. All right. We actually did a fundamental analysis on ASTS on August 8th, about 12 days ago. Yeah, at the end of the course member live, I'm like, maybe I want to buy some calls on it because I didn't dislike it. But certainly we recognized that it was probably going to be more speculative. And boy, that turned into a meme frenzy, huh? Yeah. The question is now, like the problem is always like then anytime you try to chase some of these runners, you end up just holding the bag. Everybody dumps on you as soon as you buy. So this is a little challenging. Kevin could get voiceover work with that new mic. I don't know about that. Radio host from the 1950s. Jawohl! Just get the angle of the dongle right. What dongle? There's no dongle in that picture. There's no dongle. Yes, Lowe's cut guidance. We did go through Lowe's. We did. Overhead guy. Let's go. Yeah. Jawohl, yeah. Nice. Abercrombie mentioned they were going to start selling crack. Who's wearing that in 20... Yeah, I think they just got so oversold. I want to look at their valuation. Abercrombie. They bought the Hollister brand, right? I worked at Hollister until I got fired, basically. It's like the old Quiet Fire, where they just cut your hours to 0. You go from being on the schedule like 5 times a week to being on the schedule like once every other week. Oh, Kevin! No. All right, 6 minutes to the opening bell. We've got earnings of $9.62 of Abercrombie. 167 divided by 9.62 puts you at about 17.35x. And if I then look at earnings growth, most of the earnings growth actually happened over the last year. They really exploded in EPS. I mean, they went from like 25 cents to $6. They just had a really bad end of 22. And that's how they got so depressed. But now their growth is only expected to be like 2%. I mean, what you're paying now for Abercrombie is insane. Your 3.86% growth forecast, 2.05 minus 3.2 plus 2.23. 5% growth over the next 4 years. Okay, yeah, so 17 divided by 1.25. Yeah, you're trading for like a 13 peg based on the non-existent growth. Oopsies. All right. What else? What else? Let's go in here. 4 minutes to go to the bell.
Hey, have you seen, and then you come with some stock that nobody's looked at in a long time. Smucker, you know what, it's someone saying something negative, that's a chance to buy it. We've got to get over that. There are negative reasons. There are reasons to sell stocks, but we're kind of stuck with thinking that everything's good.
Yeah. We'll see if we shake the trees here today. Yep. Opening bell coming up in 4 minutes.
Wow. They got to fit in all the commercials right before the bell. Any data release today? Not really. Oh, I think it's like one stupid thing. Ole lordy. Yeah. Philadelphia Fed non-manufacturing survey comes out at 8:30 California time. Okie dokie. Okie dokie. Let's see here. Let's go look at El Spio. Spio the Dio. Ah. I'm really trying to break out over this level here. Spy 560. Almost at 565 where it was before. Yeah. Let's see here. How are things moving? Oh, Tesla's still holding on to the 1%. BTC? Trying to figure itself out. Q's down 22 bips here. Okay. What else? Apple's down a little bit. Enphase up. But there's no real volume there on Enphase. Nvidia is down about 1%. Should write down what's moving down. Somebody says I'm selling a bunch of shares of Nvidia at open. Wow. Okay then. All right. So I got 2 minutes to go to the bell. What seems to be trending in which direction? So Enphase has the 113 line. It's at 119 line. Breaks below that. It's not great. Nvidia has the 125. I've got... I don't think I have a near one here for the Russ. Let's see here. Mickey D's, DJT. Tesla's closest line here is probably 221. Q's 476. Thoughts on SIL-J? I don't even know what that is. SIL-J? Oh, Junior Miners ETF? GD. You know, I don't know much about the miners. I like, right now, just straight up gold. Anyway. Upstart rotating down a little bit. Where's ASTS? That's been memeing. ASTS. Oh, back to positive there in the pre-market. So, okay, I guess we'll see. 25 seconds to go until the bell. Trade desk, wow, 103. Holy smokes. All right, let's listen in here.
Bear piece from sentiment. The stock can go higher. Heavily shorted stock, 14% 14 short.
You don't put it in the Peloton, Zoom, Teladoc universe.
It's a very good question. I do think that the fact that it can trough and then go up, and those didn't. It's not Spotify, but it's not Peloton.
Let's get the opening bell here in the CNBC Real-Time Exchange. At the big board, it is Juniper, Networks hardware company, celebrating the launch of its AI framework at the NASDAQ solar power company Sunrun, marking over 1 million home solar customers across the country.
Solar's been a big disappointment.
Whee! Okay, so let's see how things are moving. There goes ASTS. Red candle. Got red candle on SPY. Well, actually, no, it's a green candle. It is down right now, about 5 basis points. Yeah, ASTS down a couple percent now. Oh dear, there comes the move. Oh dear. AMD red candle. Tesla actually nice green candle there. BTC somewhat green right now, green candle there on the Qs. Palantir's trying to climb. Apple, Apple turned green. Look at that. And there goes Nvidia, trying to tick up a little bit. Okay. I gotta take a quick little break. I'll be right back. But let's listen to Jimbo. I'll be listening as well. So give me one sec.
Haven't been thought about enough, and I think that's Amazon, that's Microsoft has to do that with Azure. Google Cloud is doing incredibly well. They have to find places to they get cheaper electricity. Yep. Not everything can be hydro.
Meantime, you got crude almost back to the February lows.
Yeah, the demand side there, a lot of people feel that demand side is coming from China, slipping down. I would come back. I was actually going back with Rusty Brazil, RBN, who's my absolute favorite. I'm trying to get a drum beat that Venezuela can come back. And he's like, Jim, I mean, there are limits to what can happen here. But I do know that there's a lot of oil that's being left behind. I don't think the Permian is going to ramp up unless Trump wins. If Trump wins, then what will happen is somebody will lose their discipline. And once one loses discipline, maybe all do.
Right. Gasoline futures, by the way, again, lowest since February.
Wow.
Jim, the October future implies retail of 305 average in this country.
In the old days, what would happen is you buy Disney. You'd say, wow, gasoline. But then we see that Disney's somewhat more expensive than people realize. They have to cut price. Everybody, Nike has to cut price. Disney has to cut price. And by the way, the food companies that Kamala's talking about, I'm sorry, Ms. Harris is talking about, no, I mean, you're at the wrong stores. Forget them. They're not the power. The power belongs to Costco. So, look, she can't come out and say, I want everyone to join Costco, but she should.
Speaking of consumers and energy prices, we got some news in the airlines today as Alaska Hawaiian's going to get cleared. Right. Hawaiian was up 11 pre-market.
This is very interesting because a lot of people felt that Jonathan Cantor, the Assistant Attorney General for Antitrust, was never going to relent on any airline deal. And remember how bad it was when we look at JetBlue. But this is one where there's no overlap. And so what they did was they proved to be not dogmatic. I was afraid that they were going to block any airline merger. But I think there's starting to be a recognition that maybe we just need some.
Yeah.
And Cantor, hats off to him. Because I've been tough on him, and he's got this case with Google now that I don't like. They got both sides of the advertising. Go look at Trade Desk. Trade Desk ameliorates that. But yes, Jonathan Cantor, where is he? Is he on? Oh, yeah, but he probably comes on like Power Lunch when he's got something positive.
Meantime, Boeing pausing some test flights of the 777X, found some damage to one of the jet's structures. We'll watch BA today.
Did you see the piece this weekend? What are these two astronauts doing?
Yeah.
That was more of they didn't play up the Boeing angle, but what is Boeing doing?
I know, that is a tough story. And by the way, thanks to Connor Sen, CPI airfares relative to average hourly earnings, back to post-COVID lows.
Oh, my God, that's so good because remember, a lot of these airlines guys said, we're going to cut back in August and prices are going to go up. And that obviously hasn't happened.
I have returned. Hello, Mr. Jack. How are you? You want to come say hi? Come on, buddy. Come here. Say hi. Did you just wake up? Mm-hmm. Ooh, did you have a good sleep? That's good. Oh, look. What's that mountain doing right there? Yep. It's going up? That one's called NVIDIA. You remember what they make? Graphic cards. Oh, Palo Alto Network just shot up as well. Oh, let's click the... Yeah, look at that. Right on that line. Wow, right on my line. 348. That line's been there for a long time, too. I wonder how long. But, oh, yeah, look at that. Wow, right off the line. Now going up, essentially trying to get to all-time highs there. Look at that. How cool. ASTS still going with a little bit of some red candles. Oh, there's hope, though, Jack. There's hope. So, feeling better? Nice. All right. Excuse me, sir. I don't want to run over your feet. There you go. Bye. Goodbye. All right. So let's see here. What is moving? Palo Alto Network had a nice little run there. ASTS still trying to figure out what the heck it wants to do. Then you've got... I mean, the implied volatility on ASTS is probably absolutely insane right now. But let's see here. It is, oh no, it's 250. It's pretty high. It's not as high as it's been in the past, but pretty high. Okay, Amdis, Tesla. Oh, getting some red candles over there at Tesla. Okay. BTC's going a little bearish there on BTCs. What are they saying with treasury moves here? Let's listen.
Get rid of opioid. I mean, there's still people who get 10 oxys when they get out of the hospital. My doctors give me a bag of peas, frozen peas. It's not very addictive, and they don't even taste good.
Call me in the morning?
Yeah, call me in the morning. Here's frozen peas. I've been using frozen peas for a while now. They're not bad. I had a big back operation. Frozen peas were like, whoa, man, give me some more peas.
The other medical story is J&J, Jim, buying this medical device maker for about $1 billion.
They want to be big in device. The company has done so much that's good, and against that, obviously, it remains talc.
Right.
And by the way, J&J's in the crosshairs of the government. Let's not forget that the government is still going after certain companies. Cardinal Health on last night, CH. The government's attempt to get down prices is real. It's not for show. And it's such a shame that, look, I'm not a political operative, but there you have a guy in the distribution business who's saying it's for real, and yet the American people don't really think it's for real. And that's just because, once again, the people in the White House just refuse to coordinate with the people who are actually trying to do good in any business, because they just don't like business people. That's the way I feel. And I don't know whether Vice President Harris will be different. But I'm always amazed how tone-deaf this administration is.
Well, when she became the presumptive nominee, you had some kind words to say about her business sense.
Yes, I think that she is much more because of Tony West, because of her brother-in-law, and because she's from California. She does not have the bias that President Biden has exerted the whole time he's been president, which is to not have business people in the room. That's one of the great flaws that he had, was he did not. I mean, I remember one time he had Mike Wirth down there from Chevron. He didn't see Mike Wirth. He spent the day with the solar people. No, these people, look, hate him or like him, it's the business of America is the business of our country. And I just feel like the decision to be the union president just made it so Biden lost the credibility of American business, and I don't think she's going to do that, even though they're obviously catering to the union still.
Fain spoke last night with a T-shirt that read, "Trump is a scab."
Well, Fain, I have been a union person in the old days, and I think those of us who were union people in the 70s know that you take a radical approach and the business just shuts down. Thank you, J.P. Stevens, for reminding me what a mistake it was to join the picket line, to join the boycott. You can shut down business if you're really, really tough. And Fain, I think, would cut his nose off despite his face.
So just not to get too deep in this, but collective bargaining over the years, whether that's protection for workers, safety, vacation.
All right. I'm gonna pull off the union talk here. Let's go to the Doomberg. Let's see what Doomberg has. Palo Alto is holding on to about its 6.5% there. You've got SPY holding on to its 2 bips. And ASTS down about 6.5. Tesla dropped a little bit as well, but it's still at about 1%. Then you've got Rivian's down 1%, where Tesla's up 1%. You've got, what else here? BTC, yeah, still got a bit of a rotation down on the BT sizzles. Starting a red candle down on Q. Then Palantir. Palantir kind of flat, basically. Kind of flat there on the Qs as well. What else is this? Lowe's. Lowe's actually just turned green. Not bad. TLT. There's your 20-year. Up about 35 bips. Q still slightly positive. Bullish momentum might continue here. Yeah, let's see here. Apple just ran really for the first about 10 minutes there. 10-minute run. Now you're starting to cap out. And I've got, what do you got? Nvidia. Nvidia's still kind of bleeding here. Down about 1%. End phase right there at the 119 line. What else we got? ARM's up 1%. Hood's at $20. Intel's down a little bit. Portillo's. Oh no. Portillo. ASTS now down 7.5%. Means you had another big red candle there. Just be careful, folks. Again, I don't think there's something fundamentally here. I just think, we've seen this game a million times before. When stuff, quadruples quickly, it also comes down quickly. No guarantees. It's just a historical observation. Let's see. Pan dubs. United Wholesale's up 77 bits. These guys are so volatile though. They don't move much at this point. You really got to see rates come down. And then I think the mortgage ones could move nicely. No guarantees on that too. So, nice little bounce there on Tesla. Oh, and Zim came out of nowhere there. Actually, all morning now, Zim up about, good uptrend here. Zim up the last 12 minutes, basically. Tesla's trying to find its happy place. All right. What else? What do we have? Ooh, Palantir went positive. From
the drug, do you lower the price?
Well, we need insurance coverage. That's the issue. When you have hypertension, Angelica, you expect to have coverage for a hypertensive medication. When you have high lipids, you expect to have coverage for a cholesterol medication. When you have diabetes, which we can now slow down or prevent, you expect to have coverage. Why is obesity different? It's a fundamental health detractor, and it's a large population, as you say, but I think the question 2 years ago was, do these drugs, does tirzepatide, a dual-acting GIP-GLP inhibitor, actually not only keep you fit?
I don't even know what he's saying.
Onerous federal regulations that add to the 24% cost burden on single-family home construction, or the almost 41% increase on the construction of a multifamily unit. Harris also has a plan to provide all first-time homebuyers $25,000 in down payment assistance. Experts warn that could actually aggravate the shortage she is trying to fix, bringing even more first-time homebuyers into an already strained competitive market with low inventory. One financial advisor telling FBN, quote, "In my opinion, it's just an attempt to garner more votes for the upcoming election by utilizing handouts. This plan would just further inflate the real estate market, put the U.S. further into a financial deficit, and ultimately be another reason for the government to increase taxes." And this promise of government spending really is out of Harris's hands if she becomes president. She needs Congress to pass that legislation and approve that spending. And unless there's some major Democratic sweep.
Yeah, you're going to have to sweep for Dems to have the sort of priorities they're looking for.
Okay, we hear it. Hillary, thank you very much indeed. Art Laffer with me now. All right, Art.
Oh, this guy's great. Kathy Wood loves this guy. Let's listen in.
21%.
Nice background with that yacht.
Well, what we know what happened when we lowered the corporate profits tax rate to 21%, it paid for itself. The deficit actually went down as a result of those revenues in the 2 years after it was done. We also know that U.S. GDP severed itself from Europe, and in fact, we grew 2.5% higher GDP as a result of those tax cuts. We also know that the poor, the minorities, the disenfranchised after those tax cuts were at their lowest levels. If she's going to reverse that, you're going to reverse the results, Stuart. Facts is facts, and that is what will happen. And I don't know why someone doesn't tell her that, but that's the truth.
But it's not just about raising money. It's about ideology. Harris dislikes business and wants to punish business. That's where it's coming from, isn't it?
Well, that could be. I mean, maybe she's just misinformed. I mean, if she is misinformed, there should be an economist on her staff who could get the correct numbers for her. But if she wants to raise those tax rates, she will lose revenues. She really will.
Yeah.
She'll make the economy worse, and it will have its major impact on the poor, the minorities, the disenfranchised. Median wages will go down relative to what they would do if she didn't do that. You know, she's a government person, Stuart. She's never been a working class person. She's a lawyer. That's where she's trained. She's not trained as an entrepreneur, and she always thinks of government having the answers, and government never causes the problem. That's what Kamala Harris is. And,
hold on
you know,
a
if she
second.
gets the House, she gets the Senate, we'll find out what happens, and you'll be...
Listen to what AOC had to say about Harris.
In Kamala Harris, we have a chance to elect a president who is for the middle class because she is from the middle class. She understands the urgency of rent checks and groceries and prescriptions. She is as committed to our reproductive and civil rights as she is to taking on corporate greed. I see a leader with a real commitment to a better future for working families.
Harris has not held a private sector job in her life. Do you think she understands the working class? 30 seconds, Art. That's all you got.
Of course not. No, she cannot. She does not. That's a complete misdescription of AOC, and she is exactly the opposite. She's a trained lawyer. She's been in government all the time, Attorney General of California, Vice President of the United States. That's not a working class person. That's a government person through and through, and that's who she is, and that's what she'll do.
All government, all the time. Art Laffer. Great stuff. Thanks so much,
All government,
Art.
all the time.
See you
Thank
again
you,
soon.
Stuart.
Thanks, Art. Sure. Biden's speech last night went way past midnight. He teared up. He said, "I gave my best to you. Now the party doesn't want to know him. He's off on a 2-week vacation in California. Out of sight, out of mind."
I actually like that Art Laffer discussion. I'd like to hear more from Art. ASTS, by the way, during that is now down 11%. It seems like it has every 4 minutes it has a green candle, and then it legs down again. So it's kind of like some people are trying to buy the dip, and then it just legs down on top of them again. A lot of people have been making some money betting on that run up. So people might, I don't know what people are doing, but maybe they're trying to preserve some of the tendies. Okay, so let's go to here. Yeah, I don't know if I could do night 2 of the DNC. That was way too long of a live stream yesterday. How is this Eli Lilly guy still here?
To know what happens if you get to a healthy body weight and then you go off the drugs. On average, people do begin to gain weight back. And in this study, we also looked at what happens to their pre-diabetes condition, and are they...
All right, whatever.
One of those development programs in Boeing that's really been dragging. Obviously, this doesn't help. When we look at it, it looks like there's some braces on the engine that are broken. This is I think the highest thrust engine ever put on an airplane. So, not unthought of that you would have some problems with some of the braces on the aircraft. Boeing, though, sort of definitely been riddled lately with all kinds of challenges. 777, not a big moneymaker for Boeing. Small profitability on it. The X will probably have even less profitability. So I think the biggest challenge here is going to be some of those 777s that are already built are going to have to be reworked. They're going to sit in inventory for longer, but not going to be a major challenge to Boeing profitability. And so, because it just doesn't contribute much, will cost some money to rework, but it's a setback. I suspect, though, it's a setback that will be overcome in, months, not years, and again, because of a very big engine on it.
Well, one setback among many, of course, when we're talking about Boeing. George Ferguson, it's always great to speak with you. That is George Ferguson, senior airline analyst for Bloomberg Intelligence. Now, coming up, a new suitor emerges for Paramount Global. We'll talk about what happens now in today's Wall Street Beat next. This is Bloomberg.
Yeah, just looking here a little bit. Harris took an internship with the DA of Alameda County. In '88. And let's see here. I'm trying to see. So what? I thought she had some other jobs in college. I'm trying to find those. I know it's in the Bay Area, but I don't remember what her job was. I don't know that it matters so much. Child of Berkeley, okay. Blah, blah, blah. Yeah, and then it goes right to the DA. There's just a lot on her. It goes right to the DA. Alright. She worked at McDonald's. Is that true? Oh, I don't know if you're kidding or if it's true. It doesn't matter if it's true. I just don't know. Kamala Harris. Someone said McDonald's during the ANC. Oh, really? Kamala Harris. Oh, God, freaking WAPO. I hate these paywalls. Hold on, I have a paywall for WAPO though. I actually pay them. Oh my gosh, am I gonna have to do it on my phone? Okay, I'll just go to a different website. So well, here's another article. Kamala Harris could be the first U.S. president to have worked at McDonald's. Oh, wow. According to The Independent, she would be the first president to have worked at McDonald's. During her college days, she earned extra cash by working at McDonald's. Oh, that's awesome. I think that's kind of cool. Worked at McDonald's during college. Fascinating. Okay, very well. Oh yeah, let's hear that. I think they're talking. Are they talking revisions here?
Of course, coming off of an 8-day rally, looks like we could have number 9. Of course, the S&P 500 has been flipping between gains and losses in the 22 minutes that the market has been open. But for right now, for this snapshot in time, the S&P 500 currently up about 0.1%. Same thing too if you take a look at big tech, the Nasdaq 100 now in the green. It was in the
Yeah, it actually looks pretty good, the market right now. I mean, Tesla's holding on to 126. There's no like clear like panic downtrend or anything over here. Bill.com, no, nothing here. Low volume. The Qs are actually rising nicely. Nice move up there on the Qs. Oh, look at that. Bitcoin broke above the 67 line. That's 60,700 to be clear. Disney dropped below 90 again. A little bit of a give back from yesterday's run. Affirm's going up, which is always crazy to me. Enphase isn't going anywhere. Nvidia's barely moving anywhere. So not a lot of momentum to the downside, with the exception of ASTS, but that one might be forming a bottom here. You've got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 minutes of consolidation here now. The thing with these momentum stocks, though, is you always end up getting some intraday bounces, but once the downtrend begins, it can be a little crazy. So, but yeah, it does look like you're forming a bit of a bounce here. Again, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. You're on your 7th minute now of trying to create a floor, and that floor seems to be right there at about 34.25. 34.25. Let's see if it ends up passing VWAP here. VWAP 36.37 is the present read on that. Oh, United Wholesale pops up 2.46%. Rocket Mortgage is up a little bit. You've got Tesla up a little bit. Loan Depot's up a little bit. Qs keep going, honestly. What's pushing the Qs? Is it, because it's not Nvidia. Is it Meta? Meta's green. How about Apple? AA Pizzles? Apple's green. MSFT? MSFT's green. Yeah, your big ones are green right now. So, alright. Let's go. Oh, AMD is it? Let's see. AM Dizzle. Oh, yeah, look at that. 160 right now. Heading into that 161 to 165 resistance level. All right, let's listen into Jimbo, who says stocks are mixed. I don't know. Qs seem pretty green to me. Oh, how's IWM quickly? IWM small caps. Wow, that's interesting. IWM is actually negative right now. 36 basis points. While the Qs are up, 20 plus basis points. Fascinating. All right.
I think people feel that after what happened with Kellanova, which was, oh my God, what a gift! What a gift! And that was like the hostess bid. It's like, yeah, I'll take that bid. Like, did they listen to the price? Yeah, and I happen to love the guy who runs it. But Brown-Forman was the other one that really got killed. But Brown-Forman has said over and over again, it has nothing to do with cannabis. It has nothing to do with the weight loss drugs. It has nothing to do with the expense. Well, okay, then what does it have to do with? You can't have declines. What is Casamigos doing down 22% for Diageo? Do you think that's just because people just woke up and said, I don't like it? No, there's expensive, and also I think that these things make it so that you, instead of having 4 drinks, you have 1 drink. Right.
Jim,
this is the difference between getting buzzed and getting hammered.
Yes.
Yeah, I mean, you want to get hammered, those days are over. We've got Confluent, which is enterprise software, and I focus on enterprise software, frankly, because this was the once darling industry that the market has done a GOP-1 for. It just doesn't taste so good anymore.
Jim, we'll see you tonight.
Absolutely.
Good show. Mad Money, 6 p.m. Eastern Time. When we come back, the Commerce Secretary, fresh from addressing the DNC last night, amid buzz surrounding the Vice President's economic agenda. When we come back.
Ooh. All right. Let's see here. I'm looking at Financial Times. EU to hit Teslas imported from China with 19% tax. Oh, I thought it was 9%. It's actually 19%. I swear somebody this morning said 9%, like Jimbo or someone, but whatever. Oh, yeah, here. The European Commission said Tuesday that Tesla's manufactured in China could be subject to an additional 9% on top of existing duties. Aha. Okay. So, Tesla, let's write this down. Foreign manufacturers have a, what are we on here? We're on IWM, by the way. Foreign manufacturers have a 10% tax in Europe. Tesla just received an additional 9% tax. For a total of 19%. That's lower than the up to 47% applied to Chinese manufacturers. Hence, Tesla actually ironically being up on that news. Okay. Interesting. China has filed a retaliatory complaint with the WTO. Yeah. China is filing a retaliatory complaint with WTO. What else? BYD and Geely could be subject to higher expected tariffs, although that's not clear yet. Yeah, no, that's not clear yet that they are going to get those higher ones. Ooh, IWM just dipped a little bit more there, huh? What's going on with the Qs? Qs. No, the Q's still going. Sorry, Tom Lee. Nobody wants your small cap trash going into a recession. Sorry. That's evil. It's evil. I shouldn't say that. PayPal is running, someone says. Oh, wow. $71, $72. Look at that. PayPal's bottomed out at like 59 or whatever, and it's finally lifting off. Finally. It's been forever on PayPal. That's incredible. Good for them. So that's a nice looking chart right there. Woof. It's delicious. All right. What else? What else is news? Let's find out. Hey, it's Sarah.
Sarah Eisen with Carl Quintanilla. We are live from Post 9 of the New York Stock Exchange. David has the morning off. Take a look at stocks. We're building on the rally that we've seen now 9 days in a row. S&P up 0.2%. The NASDAQ also is leading here, up 0.25%. Dow's lagging, down 38 points. What's taking us higher? Well, healthcare is up 0.75% as a group right now. Eli Lilly, a big part of that story. You just heard from the CEO. Stock's up 4.7%. Communication services rallying, consumer discretionary, technology, utilities, and materials. Those are all your green sectors. Energy, real estate, and financials are lagging today. Take a look at treasuries right now, where we've seen this continued rally happening again today. The 10-year yield 3.8%, the 2-year yield just above 4%. Expectation the Fed cuts in September in a few weeks. We're 30 minutes here into the trading session. Here are 3 big movers we're watching, starting with Palo Alto Networks, rising after reporting strong earnings and an optimistic outlook following strong demand for cybersecurity products. Stock up almost 7%. Paramount shares are moving lower in reaction to Edgar Bronfman's bid for the company, submitting a roughly $4.3 billion bid to acquire National Amusements. The saga not over there. And then Edward Jones initiating coverage on AMD with a buy rating, forecasting above average growth for the chip maker ahead, adding that they believe their, quote, optimism is not fully reflected in the share price. Follows a rally that we're seeing. AMD actually is rallying. NVIDIA is a touch weaker today. But Carl, in the absence of a lot of big economic data here in the U.S., folks are talking about some of the economic data abroad, because we did get European inflation numbers I just wanted to hit that were a little bit hotter than expected. Not necessarily direction that Europe wants to see them go in, and also speaks to the price pressures that persist, especially in services, wages in the Eurozone. So there's the 2.9% core. That was the same as the month before. And then 2.6 overall inflation was a little bit of a tick up. Now, ECB President Lagarde has said she's going to look holistically at the trend of inflation. Remember, they've already begun the rate cutting cycle, but then they paused. So this doesn't give them a whole lot of room to just go on a normal easing cycle. It also adds fuel to this euro-dollar trade. So the euro is now at an 8-month high, 9-month high, around there against the U.S. dollar, because the bets are now the Fed is in more prime position to cut because our inflation has been looking more benign. So that's something just feeding into the narrative today.
Been a nice little run here for the pound. DXY 7-month low. At least Canada CPI came in line.
Yes, Canada was better, actually. And so they've been cutting rates as well. So I'm glad you brought that up. We have that number too. And it shows that, globally, we're on a more disinflationary trend. The Riksbank in Sweden cut rates, if you're keeping track of all the rate cutters. But there was the Canada 2.5% inflation rate, and that was a little bit better than expected. So more good news on the global front. As far as in the U.S., we're still having this conversation of will we, won't we go into recession, or how much are we going to slump in the economy now that we've seen some weakness, for instance, in jobs. And I just wanted to highlight a few charts that stood out to me on this conversation. So New York Fed did a survey of workers and actually found a significant percentage tick up in those expecting to be laid off from work. So this comes out of the New York Fed, and there's the chart. And look, we're at the highest level from where we've been, and I think that speaks to the sentiment. It's not necessarily what's happening on the ground, but it does represent a change, and people are worried about layoffs. So the number rose to 4.4% on average, up from 3.9% a year earlier, and now it's the highest data actually that we've seen in this series going back to 2014. So that's worth watching. We know the Fed's watching it too. It's always hard to figure out whether unemployment is lagging or leading, as an indicator of the overall economy. But
no, it's not. It's lagging.
That's where it stands. On the other hand, Bank of America put out a great jobs report today showing that the number of job openings to availability is actually still above 1%. There's the job openings per unemployed person.
Yeah, well, a lot of people complain that the job listing websites that make money off you keeping the listing up, that those websites don't actually remove the listings. So you're actually getting potentially a misleading look into how many openings there really are. That's an expectation that we hear. We don't know, if that's certainly true, but it's something that that's been murmured around, that the job openings number is misleading. And then obviously we expect the government job opening numbers, or rather job loss numbers, are a little fugazied. Hence why we're expecting this big revision tomorrow. But markets are already kind of expecting that, so maybe that shouldn't be too terribly much of a surprise. But we'll see. That'll come out tomorrow. I'll actually tell you what time you want to look for that. that tomorrow is... Ooh, PayPal keeps running. We just went up another percent. 10 a.m. Eastern. Yeah, 10 a.m. Eastern for that. Oh, and the Philadelphia Fed non-manufacturing numbers already came out. Negative 25 versus negative 19 expected. So a little bit lower than expected, but you know, is what it is, I suppose. Some softening. The question is, when, sir, does the softening create problems, recession, disaster, scariness? I do not know, good sire. I do not know. But I suspect the day will come. Somebody says Tesla is tanking. Why do I not think that? Let me see here. Oh. Well, it did drop down to 34 basis points, 31 now. Yeah, I guess you're right. It's kind of falling off a cliff there the last few minutes. That's not so ideal for the bullishness. Bitcoin right there back to 67. Couldn't keep it up. Couldn't hold on. Palantir's minus 1%. Disney's down 1.4. Q's, yeah, Q's like down a little bit as well. IWM's still down 0.46. Really consolidating here on ASTS at the moment.
23. That assessment has turned out to be accurate.
Dude, this guy looks like he'd just crack me in half. He looks like a badass.
Around interest rates and inflation. In terms of housing specifically, we're seeing significant implications as a result of a lock-in effect. Simply put, people aren't moving nearly as often as they typically do because current mortgage rates are so much higher than their existing rates. And as a consequence, housing turnover is hovering near its lowest levels since the mid-1990s.
This speaks to the pent-up demand that we could potentially see on the back of lower mortgage rates when and if the Fed starts really get going with rate cuts. We know this part of the economy.
Ooh, AMD's about to hit my line. Look at that. 4%. AMD. Oh, there it goes. It's going to my line. Oh, it's going right through it. No. Oh. Can it? Come on. The horse race begins. Will it go through?
To the moon. Big PP. House hack. V-shaped recovery.
All right. Oh, Q's bounced again a little bit. That might take Tesla with it. Nope, JK. Tesla's still lagging a little bit.
Selling spree. Sell.
Oh, yeah. We need some FUD music. Oh, this one. There we go. That'll be our background music while we look and see what's going on. Q's are trying to recover a little bit. IWM's not. AMD's, ooh, getting stuck at the line. PayPal slowing down a little bit. It's advanced. Apple, Microsoft, Meta, all green though. Slightly topping out. ASTS up from the bottom, but still a little tight there. TLT up a little bit. Although it looks like it's slowing down on the day there. Let me see what's going on with yields. Let's see. Have you considered that half the market thinks recession and the other half thinks second wave growth reaccelerating? How does that make a soft landing most probable outcome? I don't know. I mean, I don't know that I also agree with those halves because I think there's I think there is also a third view that you could have a soft landing and no acceleration of inflation, right? But otherwise, I think you hit them all. Recession, growth in second wave, and growth in no second wave. There's no recession without deflation, so you don't have, 4 scenarios there.
Inflation has come down, and we're expecting core PCE is 2.6.
Oh, I like that tie. Where'd this guy get? That looks like an Hermes tie. Where's that tie from? It's probably like a $5 tie, but anyway.
The Fed to cut But the magnitudes of those cuts, we just don't think he's going to make a judgment on that, particularly knowing that the labor market data on September 6th is probably going to be pretty key in influencing that decision, mainly because the unemployment rate has ticked up, not just to the Fed's 2024 forecast, but up towards its 2020-25 forecast as well.
So we've seen this big move in Treasury yields adjusting to a new timeline and trajectory for Fed cuts in the wake of better inflation data and weaker economic data, Jay. So 10 years at 3.8. Where does the next big move happen? Is it lower or higher?
Yeah, Sarah, we think that the risks are towards a bigger move to lower rates from here. But now the markets are pricing over 90 basis points of cuts for this year and a Fed funds rate that returns to 3% within a relatively short period of time. So to really expect Treasury yields to move materially lower from here, we're going to have to think the Fed moves into significantly accommodative territory towards 2%. And that would be something that would take long-term yields significally lower.
But to get there, don't we need a weaker economy? And we were just all talking about how we don't have that weak of an economy.
No, I think that's a totally reasonable assumption here, that in order for yields to move lower, you need to think we're in a recession. And the labor market data in the form of jobless claims, the retail sales data all indicate that you're not. But I kind of think we're range bound here because we know that the Fed's about to embark on a cutting path, and that by any sort of measure of...
I think I found it using AI. I just used the Google camera thingy. Share screen. All right, you ready for this? Tell me what you think. Did I do good? Did I do good? I don't know. I think I'm pretty close.
Do you think margins are in focus for some of these corporates? And what sectors would you favor if the backdrop happens the way Jay describes?
So absolutely. Margins are in focus. That's critical for so many companies. What I anticipate is that we do see an economic reacceleration fueled by improvement in real wages, as well as the start of rate cuts, although I don't think it's going to be 90 basis points this year. Maybe we'll get 75. And so that's enough of a catalyst, in my opinion, to see that economic reacceleration. Stocks will discount in advance of that. So we're likely to see the cyclicals perform better and smaller caps perform better in this environment, in my opinion. That doesn't mean that tech can't continue to hum along. That's a secular growth story for many of the industries within tech. But for me, cyclicals really stand out as having the potential to benefit from an economic reacceleration.
Hope to learn more on Friday for sure. Christina, Jay, thanks for helping us out this morning. Great to see you both. Meantime, a quick programming note. Don't miss our coverage of Jackson Hole and the Economic Symposium beginning Thursday. And then, of course, on Friday, the Fed Chair live right here on Squawk on the Street.
As we had to break, here's our roadmap for the rest of
I brought a baby. Hello. Say hi, Claire. Hello. Claire. Look at the baby. Hello, baby. Look at those thighs. Hey. Too bright in here for you, huh? Uh-oh, you're going for the keyboard. I remember this. It's going to cause some problems. Anyway, okay, what do we got? What do the mountains say? The mountains say Lowe's is green again. You know, you've been to Lowe's before, right, Jack? Yeah, McDonald's up 46 basis points. Whoa, Tesla went negative. Look at that, 221. We called that out in the pre-market, that Tesla has a 221 line. Look at that, went right for the 221 line. Whoa. ASTS legged a bit lower there, down about 10.5. Meta just went red. The Qs just went red. Wow. Yeah, okay, you got a little bit of a rotation here. Well, we're going to have some stuff to talk about in the course member live stream. Wow, somebody said they were going to sell NVIDIA at the open. It's lower now than where it was at the open. Enphase, we wrote down 113. It lost the 119 line. Robin the Hood, yeah, you got a little bit of a give up today. Which makes sense. I mean, like, you had 8 days of a rally, right? So it kind of makes sense. But anyway, I think it's time to push the goodbye button and bring Claire back because it's bottle time. Claire! Even though I'm a licensed financial advisor, real estate broker, and becoming a stockbroker, this video is neither personalized financial advice nor real estate advice for you. It is not tax, legal, or otherwise personalized advice tailored to you. This video provides generalized perspective, information, and commentary. Any third-party content I show should not be deemed endorsed by me. This video is not and shall never be deemed reasonably sufficient information for the purpose of evaluating a security or investment decision. Any links or promoted products are either paid affiliations or products or services which we may benefit from. I personally operate and actively manage the ETF and hold long positions in various securities, potentially including those mentioned in this video. However, I have no relationship to any issuers other than HouseHack, nor am I presently acting as a market maker. Claire, you want to say bye? Want to say goodbye? All right, everyone. Jack, you want to end the live stream?
Yeah, what's the button? Oh.
Yeah, you know where it is. Goodbye, everyone. Goodbye. Claire, say goodbye.